Hey everyone, I'm Nijerlamand, and today we're exploring places that look normal until you look closer. Some are real, some are made up, but all have secrets that turn ordinary into uncanny. From sunny islands with dark secrets to continents haunted by history, we'll peel back the layers and reveal the strange truths beneath. Ready? Let's jump into our first uncanny spot. Sri Lanka looks like a tropical dream. Beaches, elephants, ancient temples. But behind the beauty is a dark history. A brutal civil war that lasted nearly 30 years. Many families are still searching for loved ones lost to the violence. That contrast, paradise and pain, makes Sri Lanka so uncanny. That's why it's our first stop on this weird map. Tibet, the roof of the world, is known for its peaceful monasteries and spiritual life. But since 1951, it's been under Chinese control. The Dalai Lama had to leave, and Tibetan culture is in danger. People are watched, and rights are ignored. Tibet's beauty hides a harsh reality of control and fear. Somalia used to be called the nation of poets. It had a rich culture and the longest coastline in Africa. But since 1991, it's been a country in big trouble. Civil war, hunger, and powerful warlords have ripped the country apart. Things like piracy, terrorism, and starvation have become what the rest of the world thinks of when they hear about Somalia. A group called Al-Shabaab rules parts of it with a harsh hand, and the ongoing violence makes it hard for anyone to have hope. A whole generation has grown up knowing nothing but chaos. The chance for peace is buried under decades of really difficult times. Somalia is like a ghost of what it could be, a country lost to endless fighting. That's why it's so deeply uncanny. New Guinea is this amazing place with wild rainforest tribes that haven't had contact with the outside world and tons of different animals and plants. But poverty, corruption, and violence are big problems in Papua New Guinea. And the part controlled by Indonesia faces military occupation and human rights abuses. Local people are treated badly, their natural resources are taken advantage of, and the environment is getting destroyed. Foreign journalists are kept out, so the world doesn't really see all the suffering. It looks like paradise on the outside, but it's a nightmare underneath. The island's beauty just makes the hidden horrors even more shocking. It's like old-school colonialism and greed are still happening in one of the last wild places on Earth. That's the uncanny tragedy of New Guinea. Myanmar, sometimes called the Golden Land, is stunning with its pagodas and rich culture. But decades of military rule, the horrible ethnic cleansing of the Rohingya people, and a recent takeover by the military have plunged it into darkness. Hopes for democracy were crushed when the military used brutal violence against its own people. Civil war, the economy falling apart, and a huge humanitarian crisis are now part of daily life. The difference between their peaceful Buddhist beliefs and the military's terror is really stark. Golden temples now stand among so much suffering and fear. Myanmar's uncanny horror is how hope was betrayed and how tyranny came back. It's a beautiful land, but it's drowning in blood. Antarctica is pure, untouched, and feels like another planet, just endless ice and silence. But its beauty hides a deep, scary feeling. It's totally against life. The cold and isolation there can really mess with your mind. For half the year, it's completely dark. For the few people who stay there, the mental toll is huge. It's the perfect setting for scary stories because it feels like humans just don't belong there. And as climate change melts its ice, Antarctica becomes like a ticking time bomb for the whole world. It's a place of silence, beauty, and a coming disaster. The uncanny thing here is how nature just doesn't care. It's beautiful, but deadly. Antarctica reminds us how small and fragile we really are. That's why it would give Mr. Incredible the chills. Africa is vast, diverse, and the birthplace of humanity. It's full of beauty, culture, and potential, but it's often reduced to war, hunger, and sickness. Centuries of exploitation and unfair borders left deep scars. Africa's tragedy is the gap between its richness and its suffering. That's why the whole continent ends up on our uncanny list. Okay, let's head into a fictional place called Calhatopia, where we find Kantistan, a country falling apart in every way. Rising sea levels and land sinking have turned it into a flooded disaster zone, forcing millions of people to leave their homes. Too many people, the economy crashing, and polluted floodwaters have created a nightmare of poverty and sickness. The government can't do anything, and society is just tearing itself apart. Discrimination and desperation are in charge as people fight over tiny bits of land. Kantistan is like a slow-motion apocalypse, a country drowning in every sense of the word. It's a peek into what climate change and society breaking down could look like. That's why it's so deeply uncanny. Still in Calhatopia, we find Zico, a country cursed by its environment. We're talking super hot, dry deserts, and water that's toxic. Just surviving is a daily fight, with dust storms and hardly any resources making it impossible to have hope. Warlords fight over the few places with water, and there's no real government or proper roads and buildings. People don't live very long, and sadly, a lot of children die young. The environment traps people in endless poverty and violence. Zico is like a nightmare where hope can't survive. It's not just poor, it's like a permanent hell on Earth. That's the uncanny horror of Zico. Sashi is a country that actually works pretty well, and it's even kind of rich. But its whole foundation is built on pure, organized hate. Formalism, which is a type of fascist belief system, is the law of the land. It forces a strict order where some groups are seen as better and others as less than human. Discrimination is official government policy, and if you disagree, you get shut down. Propaganda and brainwashing are everywhere. Hate is just a normal part of life. It's not chaos, but organized, systematic oppression. Sashi is a society that has lost its soul. It looks orderly on the outside, but it's rotten to the core. The uncanny horror is how normal evil has become there. That's why Sashi is so disturbing. Icholoto seems like a perfect place. Everyone has healthcare, education, and safety. Poverty is almost gone and human rights are respected. But the weirdness here is subtle. In a society where everything is given to you, what happens to wanting to achieve things, taking risks, and being your own person? Is perfection actually like a fancy cage, stopping people from being creative and passionate? Geloto is almost perfect. It's missing the messy parts and strong feelings that make us human. It's like the uncanny valley for societies. It looks ideal, but something really important is missing. Is it true happiness or just comfortable boredom? That's the unsettling question Geloto makes you think about. Tlosai used to be a normal country, until it became a battlefield for someone else's war. Defeated fascists from the neighboring country of Geloto ran away here, blending in with the local Exnamagba community. Now they're causing terror, trying to take over Tlosai as their new home. The people of Tlosai are stuck in a fight they never asked for. Their country is being torn apart by extreme ideas brought in from somewhere else. The uncanny horror is how unfair it is. Their peace was stolen by the ghosts of another country's past. Tlosai is a victim of bad luck, its future taken over by outsiders. That's why it's so unsettling. So, 13 uncanny places. Some real, some made up, each hiding darkness under the surface. We've seen beauty covering up horror and perfection that just feels wrong. The world is way more complicated than it looks. Every place has hidden stories that challenge what we expect. The uncanny is that weird, jarring feeling when what's real doesn't match what we want to believe. Noticing these uncanny valleys is the first step to understanding them. Which place creeped you out the most? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for coming on this journey with me. Make sure to subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time.